Here in a moment of Delaware Valley Floral. I'm watching to see who comes in. We're going to be talking about flowers and how they're handled on the East Coast, especially with Mother's Day coming up. Hi from Malaysia. Hi. Okay, we're waiting on Tim, Aman. I wish I was, oh, there we go. I wish I was at the Aman right now. And I think we have Tim coming in just a moment. There he is.
Hello, David. How are you?
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for
Us.
giving me
I
the
mean, it's not an us. It's me and you.
Right. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Remind me where all Delaware Valley has offices and to whom you distribute.
So, DV Flora is a 60-year-old wholesale distributor of flowers. We began in southern New Jersey and expanded to Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, New York City, and about 10 years ago, we had an expansion opportunity in the Hartford, Connecticut area. So from Hartford, we then began to make some acquisitions, moved into the Boston area, and subsequently into the Syracuse area and to the Pittsburgh area and Eastern Ohio area. And then
And I didn't realize that you had gone up that far. That's great.
We have quite a network, and we've been really lucky in that as we began a small acquisition strategy, we managed to have some really good wholesalers join up with us and become part of the DV family. So right now we have 10 distribution centers in approximately 10 states and approximately 120 delivery vehicles.
Wow.
So we're fortunate to have been able to grow with our vendors and with our customers over all of these years, and of course our employees too.
And sorry, a little message came up. And the good thing that I know, I love my Claudine, my salesperson, and I know that you can get me flowers anywhere in the world, and I have depended on you for that, and you've come through every time, and everything that you all do for us and bend over backwards. And I know that I can call Claudine. I know, Claudine, if you're watching, I can call her 24 hours a day and we can get an answer. And that's amazing customer service. I built my company on customer service, and dealing with someone who does such amazing customer service is a joy.
Fantastic. That's really nice to hear that, David. And I know for sure that Claudine will be watching this. Claudine is a great salesperson, and we have many great salespeople that extend that message to our customers.
Right. So how's business, Tim?
So it's interesting. I was sitting reflecting on the opportunity to talk to you today, David, and was thinking back that it's a mere 7 weeks ago that I was attending SAF's Congressional Action Days, where members of the floricultural business are so-called marching on the Hill, going into governmental offices advocating issues related to the floral industry. And it was at that time that this thing was starting to become serious, and I ended up leaving, I think, a day early, and immediately we began to have conversations at DV about, well, what would our reaction be as the crisis loomed upon us.
Right.
And then things obviously got worse and worse over that upcoming week. We were actually began having daily planning meetings on how we could service customers. On the 21st of March, I believe it was, we were sitting in a meeting talking about what are the best safety practices we can deploy for our employees. The week before, we'd seen sales just decline precipitously by about 50% in demand. And I think on sales of Friday the 20th were down about 80%. So we sat there on the 21st, a group of us working out about deliveries for our customers for Monday, even though we had the product in inventory or arriving that weekend, knowing that different states were getting shut down. I think by that time, Pennsylvania had put a stay-at-home order in place. New Jersey was still open. New York was partially open. So in our different distribution centers, we could do some deliveries, but not all of them. And then we put a whole program together on how we were going to do the deliveries, how we were going to inform customers on who we couldn't sell to because of the close down regulations. And then we listened to Governor Murphy of New Jersey at 3 o'clock, and basically he closed down the state. So we then spent the next 3 hours saying, okay, we're not going to be able to deliver to anybody on what was March the 23rd. And then basically had to make the really difficult decision not to suspend deliveries and to unfortunately have to temporarily lay off a whole bunch of employees at the same time.
Right.
So that was the beginning of it for us. And a week later, I would say by the 30th, we had kept a small skeleton crew. And that skeleton crew, we began to say, okay, well, there's no trucks coming in. So what direct shipment projects could we set up to be able to FedEx product to our customers? We have a buying operation in California, and Mark Robertson and Maria began to work with growers who were still operating, and we began to ship product directly by Federal Express to customers. We did the same thing with we set up programs with some Colombian growers, some Miami exporters, and so we were able to service customers that were open in a small way without having any inventory.
So flowers, being the flower guy I am, I immediately went, oh my God, how are we going to get flowers? So in the past couple of weeks, I've been talking with people in Holland about flowers coming in, and while it's not what it was, it still is, right? We can still get flowers.
Yeah, it still is. And after a week or so, or maybe it was 2 weeks, we began to realize that our customers, we're lucky enough to have about 3,000 customers in our network, maybe 15 to 1,600 that buy on a weekly basis. We began to hear some of them saying, listen, I'm in an area where I can service my local community. I have safe pickup or no-touch pickup, and I can do no-touch deliveries. And so we began to see that there was some demand on there. We began to, with the skeleton crew of salespeople we we began to make calls to see who was open. I would say by the beginning of April, maybe until like the second week in April, we were seeing just before Easter, there was about 20% of customers that were open. Some of them doing more business than usual because other shops around them were closed and they were being fed wire service orders. And so we realized we needed to react to that. And so for the last 2 weeks of this month, I would say from the 13th to right to the end of last week, we began to set up pickup at our distribution centers on a couple of days a week. We began to deploy our floral logistics, which is flower transfer trucking, our logistics platform. So we began to have trucks coming in from California, some trucks coming in from Miami, some trucks from Canada. So we were able to, all of a sudden, we did it all in box lots only, no loose pick flowers,
right,
and small quantity box pack items. And so all of a sudden, we were able to switch on the website again. We turned on our entire supply inventory that's already owned, and so have been servicing customers through pickup for the last 2 weeks. twice a week pickup at distribution centers, some cases 1 day a week. And then at the end of last week, we actually brought some more salespeople back, a small skeleton crew, and we actually began to do deliveries on Thursday and Friday of last week, which was the 23rd and 24th of April. And then we began delivering flowers actually as of the 26th. Sorry, I should say the 27th and 28th. So we've deployed what we call a 633 plan for the 2 weeks around the holiday, where we'll deliver to the majority of customers twice a week, or 3 times a week, I should say.
How does that compare to what you were doing?
So we were doing previously 5-day-a-week delivery to the majority of our network.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, with this program, we're not able to get to everybody. Logistically, there's just no way to be able to do it. We've been able to hire about 40% of our drivers to come back.
That's amazing.
We've hired people in the warehouse again. We've opened up a very, very small loose pick inventory. So we've gone from 15, let's say 1,700 loose pick SKUs. We started with 150, but mainly box pick sales and grower direct. We have a program called Grower Direct where our customers can go online and choose box product sales that have been uploaded by our suppliers. So we're depending heavily on Grower Direct.
And so you're buying real time there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it's quasi real time. The website is real time, and Grower Direct essentially is where vendors upload an offer for a certain ship date. We send the customer's label all the way down to the farm, and then the product travels through our distribution system. It gets here, we cross dock, and it goes to a distribution center, or we deliver it. Right. So there's signs of life, which is really encouraging to see. And
I've got to tell you, there's more signs of life than I wasn't sure when we talked what I was going to hear. And there's more signs of life than I expected, and that's wonderful. I hear, there's pockets in Europe that flowers are starting to go out, especially within Holland. Holland is really supporting the growers and buying a lot of flour, but I wasn't sure how much we could get. But the fact that, how much are you getting from Holland? Not a lot, right?
So almost nothing from Holland at this point, just because the transportation lines are still relatively limited. The kilo rates are 4 times higher than they used to be. Yes. Well, that was that 2 weeks ago. We are bringing a little bit in, but not too much. So there is some coming in, but not a lot. And so while there are signs of life, we still had to make some really, really difficult decisions with the company. The biggest one is having to lay off so many employees, temporarily while we traverse through the situation towards getting out of the other side of it. And it's interesting. You can almost see all of our retail flower shops and wedding and event designers. They're all scrambling to see how they can start up their businesses again and service their communities. And
yes, I know.
Exactly. And so it's been amazing, the amount of feedback that we've got. And of course, from a warehousing standpoint, we have to make sure that we're practicing all of the safety techniques. So all of our employees are wearing masks, gloves, safe distancing, etc., to make sure that we keep our employees as safe as possible as we go through this crisis.
I just had to get out of the house, so I found it. I was like, oh, we need pepper, and went to Trader Joe's yesterday. And I was really impressed with how they handled the public. You were met outside. Someone with tongs handed you a hand towel. The carts were already treated and sprayed down, and they had direction lines, so you only had one way through the store. It was very impressive, and I got everything I needed. There was a traffic jam at Peanut Butter, but we all managed and kept back 6 feet until everybody got their peanut butter, and the flow just kind of went on. Yeah, but so I'm sure, well, for all of us, it's going to be a completely different world and a completely different way of doing business. But I wasn't so sure last week, but for the first time this week, I'm really feeling a light at the end of the tunnel.
It seems that way, David, and obviously, it's kind of interesting. I'm lucky, um, have good access to a lot of wholesalers. So as we've gone through this crisis, I've been talking to a lot of our peers in the industry. I'm actually the current president of WFSA, the Wholesale Floral Organization, and so we've been meeting, in calls every couple of weeks to basically touch base and see how people are doing around the country. For sure, if you're on the West Coast or in the Northeast, the impact in these areas are the most severe. And so, where I say we went from 100% of business at the end of February to 0 3 weeks later, it was that extreme. And we're clawing our way back where there's opportunity, maybe to a 15 to 20% level of normal business right now. Far away from where we need to be, obviously. But what we found is in my wholesale calls is that in the middle of the country, the impact was not nearly as severe. So many of the wholesale chains that I spoke to were down maybe 40 to 50% in sales, but nothing like the 90 to 100% that many wholesalers and retailers had to endure in the Northeast.
Right.
So
yeah, we've all been impacted. Just it's unbelievable, but I know we're going to get through this. So does Mother's Day look? So let me back up. Okay. So you're able to truck from California?
Yes.
From Florida?
Yes.
Is South America coming into Florida or into Newark?
The South American product is coming into Miami, and then we have our own flower transfer logistic trucks that bring product northbound. Demand for Mother's Day has been surprisingly and encouragingly strong.
Good.
So there's really been a clamor for air freight space because many of the airlines that are carrying their dedicated freighter planes, they move their flights to handle emergency situations in other part of the world. So there's been a real scramble for air space freight over the last 10 days.
Right.
To try and handle the extra demand. In addition to that, and you probably are aware that quite a few people use sea containers to get product from Colombia to Miami and also from Ecuador to Miami. While I was talking to a freight forwarder recently who had 160 sea containers booked for the holiday, and they only managed to move 80 because there was such a scramble at the farms. All of the farms are practicing the same issues, so they have to have safe spacing between their workstations. They're working on a limited staff, and all of the farms. I mean, it's a tragedy for the farms because they've had to destroy so much product, either in country here in the United States or in Canada or in Colombia and Ecuador. And I know the same thing. We've seen the videos from Holland of the massive amounts of product that's been wasted.
Right. I know I was talking to a friend, how the tulip growers have taken an awful hit. And right now is when they need to decide for next year. And I don't even know how you go about deciding what to do. But just back to, like, for instance, the rose growers, just so everyone knows, a rose house has to be picked once or twice. I guess it's twice every day. And it has to be picked by hand, by human.
Yes.
All the rest of the process is basically automated, but it has to be hand picked. So I guess you're only allowed certain number of laborers in the house at a time, right?
Yeah, that's how it's been described to us. And we have a small office in Colombia, and obviously no one's going to the farms, but that's how the farms have been describing it, that where they would have 4 people in a bed picking roses, there's only 2 people now. And also in the post-production houses, every station is separated with nobody in the middle. So we have this peak right now for Mother's Day. It'll be very interesting to see what happens after Mother's Day. And this is a question I wanted to pose to you, David, is, how long will it be once restrictions are lifted before we start to see events reorganized and moving again.
I, you know, I, I keep saying we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
Um, I I had a really good talk with a doctor yesterday who, was looking at the reality of numbers, and he's uh, been talking with a lot of officials at Mount Sinai and some of the bigger organizations in New York. Now, of course, New York is not going to reopen immediately, but they really are thinking about loosening on May 15th, which is,
Right.
very close. Um, they are finding that the masks, if everybody has a mask on, there's only like a 1% chance of transmission, which is really great. Um, as for special events, we in special events are almost poised better than a restaurant because we have one point of entry and one point of sales. One person paying the bill. So there is less hubbub going on to serve.
Right.
I know that there will be a percentage of a room per square foot of how many people will be allowed in. So if you want 200 at your wedding, maybe you're going to have to pare down to 100 people. Also, what's a phenomena that's happened, everybody who wanted their wedding in the spring has had to move their wedding to the fall. So now everybody's clamoring for space. And I really think there's a good chance we can make weddings happen in the fall. So finding the space, and maybe it is a wedding of 50 on a Wednesday, as opposed to 200 on a Saturday. There's going to be a lot of shifting around. There's going to be a lot of tap dancing, a lot of bobbing and weaving to try to figure it out. And we're going to have to figure out how to safely move all of that stuff. Like how do I move event staff?
Right.
Can't do it in a van.
Right. That's a great point. Yeah,
Like,
everything's going to be different, even when it comes back to what is the new floral normality. It'll all be different. So it'll be very interesting. And so we have heard also about events being moved to Thursdays and Mondays and spread out through the week. So
spread out through the week, and another option that people are looking at is 3 nights in a row. If you can find a venue, have 50 one night, 50 the next night, and 50 the next night. We are human. We are creative. There are ways to figure this out. I'm not so worried about that. Will we have 400 at the plaza next week? Absolutely not. But I know that there are ways we can get around this, because love is love. People are always going to want to get married, and they're always, girls, some guys come out of the womb going, this is what my wedding is going to be. And that's why we're in business. We make dreams come true, and you all help us make those dreams come true. So I really sincerely believe there's going to be a slow ramp up, but I believe we're going to be fine.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and we all know. I think at the bottom of our hearts that the flower business is going to come back strong, and there's a lot of casualties and pain along the way with changes that we've had to make in operating the business in a very, very quick time. Something we were talking a few weeks ago. Every problem that we thought we ever had in the flower business, we didn't really have any problems.
No, we didn't.
It was just about issues with volume and execution and how to do things better. And so this is, obviously everyone has to reset now and work out, well, what's the most, for us as an importer and distributor, what's the best way that we move forward once the business opens up more in serving our customers, in that 60-year mission of getting floral products and supplies to our customer base. and how do we do that in the most effective manner moving forward?
Well, and you've always been really good at that. And, one way that I'm thinking that we can avoid a lot of problems, and you've helped us out in the past because you have these vast warehouses, and, have you condition the flowers and have you deliver the flowers in buckets to the venue. Now, you may shoot me for saying that, but, you've done it before. Okay. You've done it before, and maybe that's one way that I avoid having to have everybody in my smaller warehouse distancing, have you all precondition the flowers the day before and then just deliver them right to the venue, and we have the designers show up there. I think that might be a really good solution for both of us that gives you and your labor more opportunities for money and helps us at the same time.
I think that's a great thought, and I think we have to think through all of these creative solutions. One thing that we've noticed, we opened up Loose Pick for the first time with our modest amount of 250 SKUs the other day, and we were able to bring some of our employees back. And the reality is they were so happy to be back. They want to be working again.
Sure.
And all of them are saying, when are things going to get back to normal? Just because everyone's so tired of being, stuck inside. So there's opportunities, I think, and even with our large-sized warehouses, then how do we look at things differently and say, okay, if we have 10 different distribution centers, are there things that we could do within those distribution centers to help for our customers?
Well, and I think as with every business in this nation right now, I think collaboration is going to be the key.
Yes.
All of, not all, but a lot of planners are we all have different businesses, planners and designers are getting together and talking constantly to try to figure new ways and figure out what the obstacles are. And that's so important, to knowing what the obstacles are. I'm just sitting here just now, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to move the designers around? And so that we may have, thank you for doing this. I think I may have solved our problem. So.
No, it's good. And I, this has been, obviously for the entire, I don't know whether the floral, different levels of inventory of industries have been impacted so severely. For sure, the floricultural business worldwide has been severely impacted. I don't know whether you saw, there was an interesting picture that came out today about getting flowers to the UK from Kenya. I think it was Kenya. And they were actually using the not just the belly of the plane, but the passenger area too, with thousands of boxes of flowers to get product from, I'm guessing it was going to the UK for distribution there.
Well, and I saw that, and I think that was wonderful. It was I believe the Kenya itself committed to the floral growers and said, we're going to get your product to, I don't know if it was going to Holland or UK or wherever it was going, but we are committed to you to help you out. So they basically kicked the people off the plane, or maybe it was empty seats already, and put the boxes on it. And I just thought that was a true sign of how we are all going to have to work together.
Yes, that was a great thing to see today. And for us, as we've gone through this very difficult situation, our grower and supplier community have been fantastic in helping navigating through this, with us offering us solutions on how they can get their product, it starts with how do they want to get their workers back working again. They want to be able to send flowers back, to their customers again. And so I think from a collaborative standpoint, this has been absolutely amazing in what we've seen here, in the whole industry rallying together to help our cause, to bring the most beautiful products to our customers, to make lasting memories for everybody, as you say.
Absolutely. And it's going to be a collaboration with restaurants and caterers and hotels. There, everybody's hurting. And so we're all going to be exploring ways to collaborate with each other to make our clients happy and make their dreams come true. Um, I've had to already talk a couple brides off the ledge.
I can
Um,
imagine.
oh, I know. No, you can't. You know?
Yeah, one of the things that we're grappling with is the amount of varieties, and so the whole Pinterest world and social media just it has exploded the amount of varieties that everybody has to grow,
Right.
everybody has to carry, and everybody has to offer to their customers. Do you think there'll be any kind of adjustment to that as we move
There's going to
forward?
have to be. There's going to have to be. I saw Philippa Tarrant. I forget the
Yeah.
name of her shop in DC the
Yes.
other day. For Mother's Day, she said spring arrangements.
Right.
There you go. And I thought that was brilliant.
Right.
She's going to use what she can get. And I think that's we have it in we've always had it in our letter of agreement, but now it's really in our contract that it will say we're going to do our best to get what you want. You might have to settle for what you get.
Right.
And
I
and
think
that's okay.
yeah, though it's yeah. I mean, the beauty of flowers, we'd almost got to the point of there's too many varieties, and how do you pick and choose between this whole selection? I
Well,
know
and
that every
it does get confusing because
yeah,
brides are not florists, and I would like that, I like that, I like that. But I think back to 9/11 happened on a Thursday, and I had a wedding that Saturday, and I called the bride that afternoon, that Thursday afternoon, and said, "What are we doing?" And she said, "I'd like to go forward." So I had my butt in the flower market because there were no flowers, nothing was coming into the city.
right.
And so I got up at 4 o'clock and went down to the flower market and grabbed anything I could and said, well, the good news is I have flowers. The bad news is it's not exactly what you wanted. And she said, I don't care. I have
Yeah,
flowers and let's just move forward.
that's
And
that's
that,
a great
and
story.
that's, yeah. And now she's one of the top wedding planners in the world.
Oh, that's a fantastic
Yeah.
story, and we all remember that. Those of us that have been around for a while remember 9/11, and there was a flower show that was meant to happen at the Jacob Javits Center that weekend,
Yeah.
and many of the people that were coming from Europe got stuck in, I think it was Goose Bay, Newfoundland, or somewhere, or for weeks, or
Right.
for a couple of weeks, and the whole community would just basically help them. Their planes got grounded, and they became part of the community for a few weeks, and some of them, I know some people from Milano at the time. They actually became, they tried to help out as much as they could during obviously a tragic situation for the country.
Right.
So I think we'll see everyone rally again together as we look collectively to bring our products back to the marketplace, and to give the world flowers again.
Right.
It's a wonderful industry that we're in, and it's not necessarily always the easiest, but when you look back and you just look at the beauty of the products that we deal with, you realize why it's all worth it. And you understand, it makes you understand why there's so many floral professionals in this industry sector.
Yeah.
Because
Well, and I
it's
think it's in our DNA. I
right,
really think it's in our DNA to bring joy and to know that we have this beauty to bring and we want to show it to the world.
right. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. So from our perspective, we need to gauge demand from our customers. So we were actually discussing this today. We brought in 250 loose pick items. We've been focusing on box sales only. We brought in 250. We normally have close to 2,000. And so how do we scale that back? So we're going to probably add another couple of hundred loose SKUs. But really, we want to be able to make sure that we're offering really good opportunities for our customers to custom pack at the farm, So we have farms uploading offers onto our website, so a customer can really easily connect themselves with a variety that we may not have in stock that the grower is growing as we rebuild our inventory level.
Let's not forget, what is that website?
dvflora.com.
Yeah, I realized we hadn't said what the website was. And you have a web shop on there, and so you can pretty much know what the inventory is, correct?
Yes, it's a live inventory system. So if you're already an approved customer, customers log on and can see everything that we have available. Whether it's part of our Grower Direct program, where there's 30 different growers right now at normal times, 40 to 50 growers uploading offers onto the system that they can buy somewhat so-called directly from the farm, somewhat, because the second that purchase order gets cut, the customer's label goes down to the farm. It comes here. We scan the box when it comes through and deliver it to the customers.
And it goes up again.
Yeah. So we have all of our live inventory there, all of our botanicals, or all of our potted product, all of the whole supply inventory, which is about 3,000 items in the supply warehouse right now.
Which is a
flowers.
lifesaver, by the way. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Yes, we're actually realizing the demand has been pretty strong on some of the basic items in the last 2 weeks. And even though we're working with a real, a skeleton buying crew right now, we've actually had to order 3 or 4 trucks over the last few weeks from Syndicate and Smithers and Giftwares to bring product into our warehouse. So we're scaling up as business and demand allows. It's just how do you sync all of those? And of course, the great unknown is for us in the Northeast is when are the restrictions going to be lifted so we can safely carry on with our lives.
Right. Well, so the website is dvflora.com, and I'm here to tell you these people will bend over backwards to make it happen. And you've saved our butt many of time, and we look forward to working with you a lot in the future. I know it's going to happen. I really believe next spring we are going to be so busy. It's going to be a slow wind up. Holidays are going to be slower. January will go down a little bit, and then I think next spring we are going to be wild. So I just encourage everybody to hold on as much as you can. And by the way, if someone isn't your customer, can they be your customer and you can FedEx to them?
We have obviously tax ID requirements and customer setup protocol. We can ship nationwide, and we have some customers that we ship to around the country. Most customers are located within our delivery area, in those 10 states in the Northeast. But we can ship out of our operation in California. We can ship out of Miami. We can ship from farm also. So as long as we have, we're working with a skeleton crew right now. And so we're going through the customer, account setup process. But for sure, we can add more customers, but just bear with us while we kind of set things up.
Sure.
And I think all wholesalers that I speak to as the WFSA president this year, everyone's going through the same thing. So everyone went through the same pain to different degrees, depending on where you are in the country. The wholesalers in California, whether they were in the LA market or the San Diego market or the San Francisco market, they had to close from one day to the next, the entire operation completely. And so all of them now that the restrictions are lightening up, they're beginning to, and the supply chain's opening up a bit. Everybody that supplies, everyone in the wholesale trade that supplies customers, they're all opening up their inventory again. A lot with, pickup only, not 5-day-a-week delivery, or just, pickup days on modified days of the week. And as we all kind of regrow through this, I think the wholesale community nationwide, that is, its only job is to serve our customers, which is primarily our retail flower shops and our event designers. I mean, that's why there are wholesale floral companies in the country.
Right. Well, and I think it's just wise for everyone to build 24, 36 hours on the front of when they need the delivery and learn how to condition flowers well so that they can stay and be there for your event. But I think it's much better to order early, get the flowers there in hand, uh, so that you can have them when you're ready.
Yeah, that's a great point, David. And I know that after 2008 and the depression in 2008, it was an opportunity for wholesalers to be able to carry a lot of last minute inventory, and that kind of prevented some of the pre-book sales. But if we can associate you, one of our customers, through our website with a box that's coming from one of the premium Ecuadorian growers to exactly your specifications, that's a fantastic way to be able to get the freshest and the best product right to any of our customers. So
Right.
as we rebuild our inventory, it'll be rebuilding for sure, but we also want to encourage the fact that we can connect you directly to suppliers through our distribution chain.
That's wonderful. Quickly, how is FedEx holding up?
Yeah, we have been moving. 2 weeks ago, we moved approximately 3,000 boxes a week in 1 week on Federal Express. It's been pretty good. I know there's space constraints for the holiday. There's also some space constraints for the growers too, that have been doing, because they're getting busy with their regular bulk shipments now that they want to send to Miami or ship out from California.
Right.
But overall, I think Federal Express has done a pretty good job for the industry during this time. And really right now, in the next 10 days or 5 days, as you see the main shipping occurring from farms, is the fight for freight space from Latin America and for sure from Holland to be able to get products to the United States and Canada for the holiday busyness next week.
Yeah, Marco was saying last week that commercial flights still aren't an option, so he's having to freight everything in from Holland, and that's got to be daunting.
Yeah, I think it is daunting. I think the only freighters, except for maybe UPS and Federal Express, which rates are pretty high from Holland, is bulk shipments into Miami, and then the product can get distributed from Miami. But if you think of all of the flights that are flying, I think there's about 10 to 12 flights a day from London Heathrow to New York. Yeah. And so there's a lot of flowers flying on the bellies of planes on those flights. All of those are gone right now, with the exception of 1 or 2 a day.
Right.
So the ability for the freight to flow will depend on passengers' ability to fly.
Yeah, because I'm not sure of this. But do I understand that, like, KLM isn't even flying right now? Are they, or are they just really limited?
I don't. I'm not an authority on that. I don't think the regular planes. It's been flying. There's a flight number's been flying for the last 30 years. The 641 and the 643 to JFK from Schiphol. I don't think they're flying right now.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Right, but a lot of the Dutch flowers traditionally that are sold in the United States come via London, so they go either on a ferry or through the Channel Tunnel to London Heathrow, where there's the biggest lift back to the States.
And we won't even talk about Brexit, will we?
No, let's not.
Let's not talk about that.
I think everyone in England has forgotten about Brexit right now, as they go through the same crisis as in the United States.
Come to think of it, I don't believe I've heard the word.
No, I haven't heard it either. And Boris is back on the street now.
Yeah.
After narrowly escaping. So so we'll see. He'll probably start talking about it soon. But I think the United Kingdom, who was somewhat slow in reaction to this, and they're probably at the same stage as we are in the Northeast right now.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, dvflora.com, and I can't thank you enough for your candor and being frank with us. And the fact that we can get flowers is a testament to you, I really appreciate it. And thank God you have trucks that can get all over the United States and pick up stuff and deliver. Um, how many trucks do you have?
We have about 26 tractor trailers that are bringing product in from Miami, from California, from Canada, from Mexico, primarily, and from the Greens areas in Central Florida.
Right.
And then local delivery trucks, we have about 130 in the network. So we have a lot of cost in those trucks, as you can imagine. So we're very anxious to begin deploying them fully again.
Right. Get them on the road.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to try and bring our people back so they have their employment again. Many employees with many years of tenure working for the DVFG, and our expectation is and hope is to try and get moving again, and we can do that once the demand is there, of course.
Well, I've been calling Claudine anyway. I'm like, I know you're not working, but I'm calling you anyway.
So, I figured you would. That's good. I mean, Claudine's a wonderful person and a great example of one of those, loyal, dedicated employees that has helped the DV grow over these years.
Right. Absolutely. Tim Dewey, this has been an absolute pleasure. If you want to talk after Mother's Day, maybe the middle of June, we'll talk and see how it all is going and see how it's opening up, because as you know, it's day by day, man. It's changing. Well, like you said, hourly.
Right.
Hourly.
Yeah,
so
changing hourly. And David Beahm, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak with you today, and to the people that joined us too. So
we've had some really fabulous people running through. I don't know. Can you see the ticker going through?
I can a little bit. Yes, yeah. It's nice to see.
Yeah. So we've had some wonderful people. All right.
Thank you so much, and good luck to the floral world that we're all invested and lived our lives in. So good luck to everybody, and thank you so much, David.
And wish me luck on the farm. There's a lot of planting to do.
Good luck on the farm.
Good
luck. Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.